Welcome back to another episode of Prime Time. We're back in Sydney, back from the Oz Open.
Happy Australia Day.
Happy Australia Day. It is Australia Day today. We're doing a public holiday episode, but it looks like the Oz Open is all but over with Alkmaz out. Novak going into a semi-finals 10-0. Could this be his 11th?
Well, every time he's made the semi-final, he's won every time, made the final, and won every time. So if you're a betting man and you're a stats man, why would you pick against Novak?
I like Sinner. I do like Sinner.
That's the biggest obstacle. I think Zverev and Medvedev, they can't beat Novak. But Yannick Sinner, the way he's playing, he hasn't dropped a set. He can definitely beat Novak.
And Medvedev has won a Grand Slam. We've seen that. So I'd like to see a no flag win again. You know, the ones a navy blue flag win. The people from the navy blue flag country.
When he did win his US Open title, they were allowing the Russian flag. That was 2021. It was pre-Russia-Ukraine.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time the navy/white flag wins.
I'd like to see someone from the navy country win a Grand Slam. Be the first of its kind.
It's Russia and Belarus. Everyone just thinks it's Russia. Poor Sabalenka, everyone thinks she's Russian. She's from Belarus.
She's getting a bad rap just with the navy flag. Yeah, that's a shame. Well, let's go straight into our fan question this week. Is Khabib Nurmagomedov coming back to the UFC? Is he going to come back for UFC 300?
I don't think he's coming back for UFC 300, but if the reports are correct that he's receiving offers of upwards of $40 million, how can you say no? I mean...
Well, that report was Daniel Cormier came out and said that he turned down $40 million to return, which is a lot of money. But is it also underselling himself? Because he is up there with the Conor McGregors in terms of draw. He's up there with the Brock Lesnar's in terms of UFC draws. And he also said he never wanted to fight after his dad passing away. So it's gonna be a bit more for him to come back.
Look, if they're going to give him $100 million, he's saying no to that. I don't think he'll ever verse Conor McGregor again. I don't think he wants to face that sort of public scrutiny with McGregor behind the mic. But if he's training, like his trainer said, he said, when Khabib trains with me, that means he's preparing for a fight. So is Khabib preparing for a fight?
This rumor started with Javier Mendez saying that, Khabib always trains with the team, but when he trains with me, it's always in preparation for a fight. So I don't know. I think that he could potentially come back, and it could be the surprise that Dana White keeps teasing for the UFC 300 main event.
Well, how many times has he said now there's a big return coming for UFC 300? Unless it was Holly Holmes, Conor McGregor's not coming back. John Jones isn't coming back from injury. Daniel Cormier is not coming back at the weight he's at right now. So the realistic possibility is Khabib, and you really hope it is because it'll save the card right now.
Dana White has said that he has multiple options for the UFC 300 main event, and they have to choose one, and he'll announce it soon. He hasn't given it who it is. He was saying it with a smile on his face, but he says people will be very happy with the result, and people are going to go nuts for this UFC 300 main event. The only one that makes sense for me is Khabib coming back and headlining the event, because I don't think Leon Edwards fighting Bilal Muhammad on UFC 300 is going to be the big draw. I don't think Aspinall versus Stipe Miocic is a massive draw. And to be honest, I don't even think Izzy Duplessis, the one that's a rumoured fight that could potentially happen at 300, is a 300-worthy main event draw that people are going to call a super fight. He's teased a super fight, and he needs to deliver. And the only way he can do that is with Khabib coming back.
If Khabib doesn't come back, I want Pereira versus Aspinall. Just give me something that's a bit exotic, a bit unique, and that'll just at least draw numbers.
What about Pereira versus Izzy?
I'm sick of it. I don't like Izzy. I've had enough of him. He's lost to him that many times now. It's enough. Not at that weight class.
Well, let's go into the NRL Rumour Roundup. We do this every week into the preseason. The preseason NRL Rumours. This one started off with a bang. Tevita Pangi Jr. rumoured to talk to Broncos power brokers about a return to the NRL.
Well, I think it's basically been reported that he's going to return. It's all but done. I don't know how this has happened, because he said that he's fallen out of rugby league. You know, the Bulldogs, they let him go into retirement. They didn't let him go to another team.
He wanted to pursue boxing. He didn't want to play rugby league anymore.
And he's had one boxing fight. That's not really pursuing boxing. That's just how...
I mean, how many boxing fights can you have in the space of a year? I think what could happen is he pursues boxing and plays rugby league, similar to how Paul Gallen did. And he does it at the Broncos. He's moved back to Brisbane. He's at Logan. He's big mates with Pat Carrigan, Payne Haas. It's a perfect landing spot for him. And the Broncos, they've lost players like Flegler.
They need a front rower. They need a top quality front rower. But in saying that,
surely it's a good replacement.
Surely the NRL steps in though and says, "Listen, mate, you lied to everyone. You weren't going into retirement."
Well, I feel like if the Bulldogs are happy with it, and that they're happy that he quit and pursued another club, then they're fine. To be honest, I think Phil Gould probably masterminded this and said, hey, just quit and tell everyone you're going to boxing, and then you can pick up another contract with someone else. It's literally not even been one preseason, and he was at Brisbane Broncos
That's what I'm
preseason.
saying. At least wait 6 months, maybe come mid-year, say you had a change of mind, maybe you took some ayahuasca and had a big awakening. I don't know. But Tevita Pangi Jr., I want you to play.
So you don't think the NRL should allow it? Because it's a loophole now, because now Joseph Manu says, hey, I want to quit and go play rugby for 3 months.
Retire for 3 months and come back. Yeah, it's you're going to create a whirlwind of players doing the same thing, and it's dangerous.
Okay, next rumour. Not really a rumour, but what hit the news was David Nofaluma messy breakup with the West Tigers. They put out on their social media, thank you, David Nofaluma, but it ended pretty messy. Benji Marshall wanted him out. He was no-showing to training. He wasn't answering any of the staff calls when he was no-showing. He said he had maybe a bad bout with pneumonia, or he had the runs or whatever it was. We've all been there. We've all called in sick to work and not wanted anyone to call us. But David Nofaluma gets paid out $300,000 from the Tigers. It was reported there was on about half a million a season. He was on about $500,000 a season. He gets paid out $300,000 for the next 2 seasons, and he can get picked up by another club. Where's the best landing spot for David Nofaluma, and is this the right move for the Tigers?
Well, firstly, Nofaluma's taken a page straight out of the James Harden playbook. Not rocking up to trading, probably putting on a bit of weight. I wouldn't want to play for the West Tigers, so I don't blame him. But looking at the teams that could potentially sign him, Melbourne Storm, because he's been there.
He's been there, and he wanted to stay there. The Melbourne Storm wanted to keep him, but the Tigers wanted them to take more of his contract.
And then I'd say maybe the Newcastle Knights, who lost Dom Young, need a quality winger to step up as well. Look, he's 30 years old. He's on the back end of his career.
30's prime.
Still a quality athlete. So if you're a team that needs a quality winger, who wouldn't put their hand up to sign him? Gold Coast Titans, Canberra Raiders, just anyone that needs even depth at their wing spot, just do it. Bulldogs, we got Kairouz and we got Addo-Carr. And even go down injured, or Kairouz pushes into the centres. Nice to have Nofaluma into the team.
We've got enough backups and utilities.
Yeah.
We do. We don't need David, but we wish David all the best. He's a good man. He's always in there, and it's hard not to get along with Robbie Farah.
That's what I think. Robbie Farah is the one that pushed him out. No one gets along with him.
What about this one? The NRL can be a bit worried because going to Vegas, there might be some visa issues for some players. Some players with a criminal past, i.e. Matt Lodge, i.e. Reece Walsh, and a few others, may not be able to get tourist visas or might be turned away at the border. They're going to Kevin Rudd, of all people, to ask the US government, his ambassador to the US, to say, please, could you let these rugby league players in because we've got a big event on, I don't know if you know, NRL in Vegas.
Well, you think the NRL maybe would have taken this into account when choosing the teams to go over. Maybe over under 2 or 3 criminal records, maybe we don't select that team. I think Manly should be in the clear. I don't know any players on their team.
No, not many in Manly. Manasseh's not a part of the roster anymore.
But then, Reece Walsh, I think, Kevin Rudd, Crud, I think he'll work his magic and get them in. I think the Las Vegas tourism will actually try to, work their magic as well.
There'll be a few favours.
There'll be a few favours called in. I'm not worried about anyone getting turned away. I feel like Andrew Abdo's a pretty switched-on bloke.
Staunch negotiator.
Lebanese guy as well. So, he's switched on to the fact where he's not going to allow these teams to go there and have these altercations at the border. They'll be in.
I think it'll go smoothly. Everyone's trying to make a circus out of it. Look, it's going to be NRL, even as they're partnered with the UFC. I'm sure the UFC have run into this issue multiple times. Many UFC fighters have had a checkered past.
I think Khamzat's not allowed into the US. I'm not sure because of his relationship with the Chechen.
With the Chechen, So, NRL has a partnership with the UFC. They'll facilitate the players to get in. No questions asked. Some are stationed in LA, some will be stationed in Las Vegas. But it's going to be a successful event. We're most likely going to be down there, so make sure you stay tuned. But looking overseas, Nick, Stephen A. Smith, he's been feuding back and forth. He's been the staple of analysts on ESPN and sports media. He's signing a new contract with ESPN.
Reportedly worth $20 million. Now, some athletes find it hard to earn $20 million. He's the analyst covering the athletes. And he's reportedly going to set to sign a deal with ESPN for $20 million. Now, look, I'm actually a fan of Stephen A. Smith. I can find him annoying at times. But if you're looking at this deal, he's transforming the world of analysts. I think now my dream is to become an ESPN analyst because if that's the money that they're paying their superstars, who wouldn't want to get into it?
And he's had to pivot a little bit with the likes of Pat McAfee coming onto the network. He's had to create this Stephen A. Smith show, started a podcast where he's swearing, he's calling out everyone.
And clips go viral from that.
And he's delving into other topics. He's delving into politics. He's delving into, things outside of the sport, out of the sports arena. So it is interesting. He's got his numbers up. I still think he's very ESPN friendly. He plays within the borders of ESPN. He doesn't really challenge any narrative, whereas like you got Aaron Rodgers coming onto Pat McAfee's show and he's always getting in trouble for letting him spout off whatever he wants. He's ESPN friendly. Him and Skip Bayless are the OGs. That's why they get paid as such. Skip Bayless on Fox. You know, you got Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. He's gonna get paid.
I think Skip Bayless's time's coming to an end. Stephen A. Smith, maybe through his own show and his radio show, working with Shannon Sharp, maybe added about 5 years to his career. But then again, there's going to be a new wave of media coming through. Pat McAfee's the start of it. And at the end of it, these guys are just going to be filtered out. As much as they're entertaining, their views and the way they conduct themselves isn't what's required anymore.
Oh, it's not what's in demand anymore. Yeah. So I guess we'll see. You're right. Shannon Sharp has rejuvenated ESPN and the whole. I think added a few more years on Stephen A's career as an analyst.
I know we're trying to want to be analysts, and we're not former athletes. But Stephen A. Smith's not a former athlete.
Average 1.5 points in college.
So when you're talking to the likes of Shannon Sharp and Pat McAfee, they're former athletes. They know what it's been like in there, and they're probably more likable personalities. So just naturally, you're going to gravitate towards
journalists. Are just untrustworthy.
They're usually rats.
Yeah,
It's a known rat job. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is. Okay, let's move over to tennis. Carlos Alcaraz caught himself in a little bit of trouble this week because they had asked him post-match, has he been watching any of the WTA? The guy prefaced it, he goes, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who in the WTA have you been watching? Who in the women's tennis have you been following? The poor bastard couldn't think of anyone on the spot because, let's be honest, he probably doesn't watch it. He probably doesn't watch the WTA. Well, he could probably name a few women athletes like we could. He could probably name a few women's tennis players, but on the spot, in front of the crowd, he couldn't name a women's tennis player. And then the crowd started laughing. Then he started laughing. I actually felt bad for him because all the media was saying, he caused a little bit of a stir. Mate, the guy isn't watching females tennis to watch some tape and go, hey, I could copy this. I could copy this, three-set banger.
I might hit the ball like Sabalenka. No, mate, I can hit the ball like Novak or Federer because I'm a man. And look, Alcaraz, he's got broken English. He can't speak English fluently. So putting him on the spot with that question just opens him up to some sort of criticism from woke people.
But he didn't even name a player. And he was probed a couple of times and he couldn't really name it because, they are fantastic. And mind you, they can be entertaining at times. But why would a top-level male player watch a female's game and say, hey, I can adopt her. I can adopt her forehand.
Why is it wrong for him to say that I don't watch it? Why? Like he just said, when I turn the TV on, I can watch it. That's fine. That should be an accepted answer, not something that he's going to be ridiculed for because he doesn't watch female tennis. Listen, guy, the guy's busy. Probably trains around the clock, rehab, physio, whatever he needs to do to get his body right for the game.
I'd imagine the only video and tennis watching he'd be doing is of his opponents
or himself.
Yeah, or himself. Exactly right.
So, anyone that's gone at him, you're a loser.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's if you go to the common man on the street and you say, name 5 female tennis players, they will struggle, whereas they could name 5 male tennis players because it's a more entertaining product. More people watch it. You know who the superstars are. And from an athlete's point of view, from Alcaraz's point of view, a tennis player, he's watching either his opponents or himself. So I don't blame him for not knowing anyone. And I think the Daily Mail and News.com should take it easy on the Spaniard because he's a freak and you should respect him. But speaking of tennis, Nick Kyrgios has been killing it in the commentary booth.
He's made a lot of viral clips on TikTok.
He's found his calling.
But I think Aussies can't see him in the box. It's only on ESPN.
It's on ESPN and Eurosport. Yeah, exactly right.
So as an Aussie, I don't really see what's going on.
He has done some post-match stuff with the Australian Open, and that's been on social media. But the guy is a social media megastar. The guy's got 4 million followers on Instagram. Anything he talks about goes viral. The way he analyzes the game goes viral. The way he interacts with his peers and fellow players, they enjoy it. They seem to enjoy it. He's got a great relationship with Novak. You saw how he was talking with Rublev. But the thing is, people now were talking about he's doing that well at it. He may not even come back to tennis.
Well, someone said, I saw a report earlier in the week that he teased retirement, that, he's said that he's looking at where he's at in his life and he's got to start thinking about what his life is like post-retirement, and he's happy with that. But I don't want to see him retire.
No one does. And he came out in a address. He said, listen, guys, I'm not retiring. I still got a lot left in the tank. He's in rehab. He's training. He wants to get back out there. He's still got the fire to. He also put up a post on his Instagram with all the Greek players, said Team Greece could be looking strong right about now. He had Tsitsipas there, Kokkinakis there, and himself there. So, I mean, Davis Cup, Greece team looking quite strong. If he can change allegiance, I think he could.
I don't know. But regardless of that, Kyrgios, come back, rehab. I think he's already ruled himself out of the Paris Olympics, which is a bit of a shame.
Really?
I wanted to go see him play there. And he's eyeing a return to Wimbledon, which is not till, July? It's a very far way away. Maybe he'll do some commentary for the Olympics as well. He's kind of found his niche as a post-retirement career. And I think it just shows you that if you have a bit of character, a bit of flair, you're probably more likely to be getting views and be a good commentator. People are sick of the boring old, just talk about the game. He analyses it perfectly and provides a bit of character to the box.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect mix. He's going to be doing well long into the future. I think if he tries to come back for that Wimbledon spot, he's looking for that redemption. What a place to come back to.
Yeah,
I know it's been 2 years. It's been 2
so hard
years
to come back and play and then win a tournament. You have to get some reps in before you even look like you're playing your best tennis.
Okay, Milwaukee Bucks head coach.
Fired.
Gone.
Mate, they had the second best record in the NBA, 30-13, and Giannis apparently disliked him. Damian Lillard apparently disliked him. The worst rumor was that he actually went at Giannis' brother Thanasis and, was bullying him at training. Not bullying him, but was a bit rude towards him. So 30-13, see you later, we'll bring in Doc Rivers. And Doc Rivers is a notorious choker, so I don't know what they're doing bringing him in. But if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm sure you could have done better. I think at least give the coach to the end of the season. If you don't like the way he's coaching, at least then say something like, Giannis has a bit of a problem, maybe just take it easy on his brother. I don't know. There's no way if you're 30-13, second best record in the NBA, you deserve to get fired as a coach.
Yeah, very rough, very rough. I don't know what happens there, but I mean, that's the NBA. The players dictate everything.
Superstars dictate.
The players can dictate how you're going, whether they want to tank or not for a coach. LeBron pretty much makes the trades for the Lakers, especially when they get mid-season. He's their GM, he's their
coach.
Point guard, he's their coach, right? So that's the state of the NBA. I don't know if you could do that in other sports. It's not that common in the NFL. Coaches are really based on performance. But, I mean, that's the NBA. It's a cutthroat game. And I'm sure he'll get picked up. I mean, Doc Rivers just got picked up by another franchise.
It's like once you're in the industry,
yeah,
he'll get an assistant coach somewhere.
It's a revolving door, the NBA. But let's go over to UFC. Okay, we did touch on in the fan question what we think the main event's going to be. But what do you think the main event for UFC 300 is going to be? Realistically, right now, we touched on it. There's a few options for the UFC main event at 300. There's been floated around that it's going to be Israel Adesanya making his return, even though it hasn't been that long. Israel Adesanya versus, it could be Pereira. Israel Adesanya versus Dracus du Plessis. There's also been the rumor that it's Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. Does this live up to the hype for UFC 300?
Dana, please, no Bilal Leon. Just leave it to another card, and it can't even be the main event. It's a boring fight. They both can't sell. Realistic possibilities, though, John Jones is out. Islam has ruled himself out. Conor McGregor's ruled himself out. So they're getting down to maybe
I think McGregor could be a possibility. They have earmarked International Fight Week, but if they do need a bang, I feel like McGregor could still be the main event.
But with all these fighters either out or on another fight card, the only realistic possibility is Pereira Aspinall as something that's going to make a splash and at least make some sort of headline pay-per-view event. Because if you put Bilal Muhammad,
yeah,
Leon
but
Edwards,
I just don't think that fight lives up to the John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. I don't think that lives up to the Mir versus Lesnar. You know what I mean? It doesn't live up to the draws that have been at UFC 100, UFC 200. In saying that, like we said, Khabib coming back would make a lot of noise. They've tried to make noise for the casual fan to watch the UFC 300. This is their WrestleMania.
And you can't blame fans for having these expectations because for the last 6 to 8 months,
They've been teasing it.
Dana White's been saying, you're not going to believe who's on the prelims. Like, the card's going to be that good. You're not going to believe the fighters that got
It is
swords
a
on here.
stacked card for UFC fans. Like
No, it is.
Holloway,
There's-
Gaethje.
But in saying that, like, putting Aljamain Sterling on, he's not versing, he's not fighting for a champion. It's not like it's a championship fight. Yuri Prohaska, it's not a championship fight. Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje and Oliveira versus Saxurian. Oliveira is supposed to be fighting for the title. Gaethje wants a title shot. So it's just a bit underwhelming for their careers, and that resonates through to the card.
What about the Bilal Muhammad hate? Is it deserved online? Every meme page, every MMA combat page on Instagram, on TikTok, is ripping Bilal Muhammad to shreds. If Bilal Muhammad main events, we riot. If Dana White announces Bilal Muhammad, someone's slapping Dana White. They don't want Bilal Muhammad in the main event. They don't think he deserves a title shot. The thing is, I feel like he cops it a bit too harsh because his record speaks for itself.
Look,
he's on an undefeated streak at the moment.
He's a great fighter. He's trained with Khabib. It's had to transform his career. But he's ugly as shit.
He's just got a bad head.
He's got a bad head, and he's not marketable. And when you see him on the mic...
You don't want to see his head on a poster.
Look, as a fighter, you give him the respect he deserves. He does deserve a title shot. I'm not denying that. But for a UFC 300 card or even a main event of like a UFC 301, him versus Leon Edwards just doesn't sell. And likely, the way they fight, it's going to go to decision. They're not going to knock each other out. It's just the way it is. So what do you expect? People just want entertainment. That UFC is becoming more like WWE. They want characters and they want entertaining fights, especially more casual fans. So if they do put it for UFC 300, Bilal's going to cop the brunt of the hate. He doesn't deserve the whole hate. Dana probably does, and Leon. But when you're that ugly and that boring, that's what happens.
Well, Dana White said he was going to announce it pretty soon, where that location's going to be, if it's going to be on 300. So we'll keep an eye out for that. UFC 300 about to be announced pretty soon. It's almost set in stone. But let's go over to WWE, because we're at the road to WrestleMania right now. Royal Rumble is on this Sunday, right? Saturday in America. Then you got Elimination Chamber in Perth, straight into WrestleMania in Philadelphia.
Jeez, I forgot it was this Sunday.
It's crazy how quick it's coming. Firstly, who do you think's winning the Royal Rumble?
CM Punk from number one.
Really?
Yeah, he's got.
I don't think they'll give it to Cody Rhodes to win back to back.
Like, you got to look at the people that have won back-to-back Rumbles. I think it's like Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. Like, to be in that caliber of wrestler, I'm sorry, Cody Rhodes, you're not there. I personally don't think he's that entertaining. And for him to go again and then maybe pick Roman, I don't want to see him finish his story. I want to see Rock Roman and I want to see CM Punk versus Rollins. They're the two fights or, matches that are the most entertaining and the biggest draws.
I think CM Punk does win the Rumble. And you're
Right.
right.
Like a part of his negotiation and coming back.
But I don't think he chooses Roman Reigns. I think he will choose Seth Rollins. That sets that one up. Cody Rhodes can still go for finishing the story. But at the end of the day, I mean, it is the most stacked it's been right now. You got Brock Lesnar, who hasn't been announced for the Rumble, but he'll be in there. Gunther wants to go.
Will Brock be in the Rumble?
Brock Lesnar will be in the Rumble.
They've got to set up him and Gunther.
They got to set up. That's what I think. The Royal Rumble's perfect for setting up some feuds. I think Brock Lesnar versus Gunther starts in the Rumble. I think CM Punk goes on to win it. Cody Rhodes starts stressing out like Shawn Michaels did that he can't get that match with Undertaker. He can't get this match with Roman Reigns. They're going to set that up. And The Rock versus Roman Reigns will take place at WrestleMania 41. And they're going to have a year-long build-up. It will be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. That's what I think. I want to ask you, what should be the main event on WrestleMania? And when we say main event of WrestleMania, it's not the Saturday night. What's the last match of the entire event? What's going on last? Who is Roman Reigns versing at WrestleMania?
The night 2 main event is The Rock. He just got named on the board of TKO. I feel like that was like an initiation to say, hey, do us this one last favor and we'll make you big in the corporate world. The Rock versus Roman Reigns, the head of the table is on the line. I don't know if the title would be on the line. It has to be, though. It depends if he loses at the Elimination Chamber.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does need to be on the line. They're two massive names.
But that's the generational fight. That's the generation of Rock Cena, Rock Hogan. Now it's Rock Roman. That's the fight that's got to happen. And I'll put Roman to win in that match because
I don't know. Cody Rhodes has been cutting promos all over the world that he wants to bring gold back to his hometown.
Yeah,
he's saying that he wants to finish the story. There was a report that came out that said those close to Triple H say it's not likely he might not finish the story and they might go with Rock Roman. I still think they're going to do Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. It's time to take the belt off him. He's broken all the records. He's going to surpass Hulk Hogan. But Rock versus Roman won't happen until WrestleMania 41. They're going to do the same thing they did with Cena, year-long build-up. And The Rock teased it on ESPN. He said, I look like looking at the long game. WrestleMania 41, it's a clear path for The Rock versus Roman. They can set up, they can have the title when it comes to there. But give Cody Rhodes his WrestleMania moment. It's been a great story. He's gone through everything. He lost the first time. He went through a year of winning, went through however many people, Shinsuke, went through Brock Lesnar, finally comes back to Roman Reigns, finish the story.
The problem is with that is Cody Rhodes is boring for one. And number two, The Rock's schedule. You can't put a year main event ahead because he might have movies come up.
TKO Group,
he might have opportunities
TKO Group, that's an opportunity. Hey, you're on the board. Yeah, you're on WrestleMania 41. You get to keep your Rock, trademark the name Rock, but you got to be on WrestleMania 41.
I'll make it for 40. The Rock operates in, it's got to happen now because he's getting older. It's not like it was 10 years ago when he first seen her. He can't wait a year for a main event. He can wait maybe 3 months when WrestleMania 40 is in Philadelphia, so that'll be the main event.
Let's go to our top 5. We do a top 5 every week. Make sure you subscribe at Kairouz Bros on YouTube. This week's top 5. Top 5 conspiracy theories of all time, starting with number 5.
9/11 was an inside job. Now, when everyone mentions George Bush, they think 9/11 was an inside job. The way the building imploded, the way that they blamed Osama bin Laden straight away.
They found some passports in New York on the floor.
There's just way too many gaps in the story.
Yeah.
So
I guess we'll never know. I know they've got those sealed details that no one will see till about 2090 or something like that. But from just the outside looking in, looks like an implosion. Looks like the building collapsed on itself. I don't know.
Well, most experts say when a plane flies into a building like that, it shouldn't collapse. Because the way that the building's constructed, it shouldn't implode that way. So, were there bombs in the building? I don't know.
2001, it might have been a Lebanese developer. Who knows? I guess we'll see. Number 4, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Now, this is definitely true. I don't know if you've seen the photos. His nose or ears look different. There's no way someone with that influence in a jail where there's cameras everywhere, the cameras turn off and then all of a sudden he's committed suicide.
The security guard fell asleep.
He's supposed to be in a jail where
Someone
it's
gave him
impossible.
blankets. Someone gave him blankets to go hang himself. Yeah, very, very strange one.
I think you're absolutely stupid if you do believe that he did kill himself. And they say, oh, the Clintons had it organised. Look, the guy's probably partying in an island, not Epstein Island, but another island, just living free.
Well, I'm pretty sure him and Ghislaine were spies. They were spies. So if anyone's going to fake their death, and still be kicking on him, Tupac, and Ghislaine Maxwell, who'd have a lot of dirt on a lot of people, and, they've just probably orchestrated this. I don't know, but it's very sus. Either they killed him or he never killed himself.
But the fact that, this whole saga of Epstein Island has been going on for 5-6 years, then the key witness gets suicide in jail where the camera's turned off, it's just way too sus.
Nothing makes sense. Like, how have we had a criminal charge before any of the people on the Jeffrey Epstein list? Doesn't make any sense at all.
Anyway, number 3, JFK assassination. For some time, this was the most popular conspiracy theory. And the conspiracy theory goes that there was more than one shooter.
It wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald.
There wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald from the library building. There was people in the grassy knoll. And that there somehow was only one shooter and a magic bullet that swerved in air, killed him, came through his body.
Come from multiple angles.
So this is a CIA inside job. I think that's what's been most prominent amongst the conspiracy theory community.
They've tried to blame it on gangs. They've tried to blame it on the mob.
They've tried to blame it on the mafia. They've tried to blame it on the military-industrial complex because he was trying to end the Vietnam War. There's so many rampant conspiracy theories. But the way he was shot, I think there's just enough proof that there was more than one shooter. And we've been to the grassy knoll. It was a great vantage point if you did want to shoot him.
Yeah, no. I definitely think that one, because Lee Harvey Oswald died 3 days later.
He died in custody.
He died in custody, so that makes it even more sus. As in, you couldn't get to hear his side of the story. Did someone pay him? Was he employed by the CIA? Who knows? But again, very grey area, and I guess we'll never know. It seems to always be a government thing. Why are there always conspiracies around the government? Number 2, the moon landing.
They say that they got there in the 1960s.
It was a race to the moon.
They beat the Soviets there. But somehow in the 2020s, we don't have the technology to go back there.
I can't get reception on a highway in Sydney. I can't get reception on Canterbury Road. But we went to the moon and we haven't gone back since.
Well, the irony is that they were FaceTiming Neil Armstrong on the moon in the 1960s.
On the news. It was broadcasted on the news. They had FaceTime cameras up there. They were playing golf on there. And it was being broadcasted to the people.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But I can't get reception in a car park. My radio starts fuzzing out when I'm deep into a car park.
So what are the moon conspiracy people say? Why haven't we gone back? And they also say we don't have the technology to go back. But USBs were 256 MBs back then.
Less. I think they were on the bloody floppy disk.
Yeah, we had floppy disks back then. Now we have 1 terabyte hard drive. So what technology didn't we have back then? We got the Apple iPhone now. We had the brick phones in 1960.
If it is fake, there's a lot of things that become fake, like the satellite images of Earth, whether the actual rock that they said that they found.
I just want to know why haven't we gone back? Why haven't we gone back? You know how we've got everyone's like, we want to go to life on Mars. Why don't we have life on the moon? We've already been there. Why don't we go back?
And going to space, how do you even prepare for life on space? There's nothing on Earth that's the same. And what's even more scary...
I know, they've asked Neil Armstrong to swear on the Bible. He never put his hand on it. There's a video that goes around online, never put his hand on the Bible. So, I don't know. The moon landing is a very popular one. I'm not saying I believe it, but I'm just saying, how come we haven't been back? Where's the technology? I want to go to the moon. I want to make content on the moon.
There's definitely holes in the story of the moon landing, but the bigger conspiracy is number 1, the Earth is flat. This is quite a popular one.
This is popular with athletes, with celebrities. You got Kyrie Irving, who made the Earth is flat popular. Shaq once said it. You know, you have wrestlers who've come out and say it. Matt Burton, rugby league player, recently just came out and said the earth could be flat. There's many different ways to look at it. The Bible says it's flat. People say the globe earth is a theory. I don't know, but seems to be very popular.
The way that I look at it is we've done a couple of sample tests, surveys. We ask pilots every time we get on a plane.
Yeah. We go, listen, boys, earth flat or what? How do we know?
And I've got mixed answers. A lot of people say it's round. Some say, hey, it could be flat.
To be fair, every pilot has said it is round. It is round. But I think people have to just come to the conclusion that you just never know. Kyrie Irving, AJ Styles, a few others, they're on board with the flat earth. Can we believe everything we've read in the textbooks? Judging based on these conspiracies, some that have come true in the past, I don't know. But that's our top 5 for conspiracy theories. Make sure you stay tuned to our YouTube channel. Our clips will be all across our socials at Jon-Bernard K and at Kairouz Bros on everything, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. But that's all we have time for today. Thank you for tuning in. And like always, subscribe.
Happy Australia Day.
Happy Australia Day.